avoid all of that introductory mess at the beginning, though the echoey voice was kind of entertaining. It definitely jolted me awake more than the coffee that I'm currently drinking. So, so why NationBuilder? This is a great question. You kind of may see the slides that I've got up on the screen right now. And NationBuilder, we call ourselves the world's first community organizing system. And the real theory behind that is that as you're growing a community, in this case, your alumni group, the people that you're trying to bring into and get more engaged with your group are going to be members of your community that are going to help you unlock and activate additional alumni in the region that you're currently working in. And in an effort to better maintain relationships with these folks, NationBuilder really centers everything around your digital presence, around the people that you're interacting with, no matter where you're interacting with them. And we end up with a system that then has kind of four main pillars of functionality that all really tie directly back to the people in our individual network. So what you're going to see with NationBuilder, and here today we'll focus a lot on just this first component, which is going to be a website where people can come to interact with your club. But the really key thing about all of this is that whether you're building your website for your club or setting up the communications for email, text messaging, if you're in the United States or Canada, so that may not apply to many of you. And then also linking up your social media channels like your Facebook fan page for your club or your Twitter account for your club. All of these interactions that people will have with you, whether that's signing up to pay their club dues on your website or buying tickets to club events, even just signing up for your email list, all of these different interactions that they're having with you are going to go directly onto a full profile of how they've engaged with you all the way going back to the beginning of your nation. So people's profiles will really capture all of the different ways that they've engaged with you, including buying tickets, paying their dues, but also filling out surveys. Any kind of action that you might want someone to take on your website is something that you can really set up very easily through NationBuilder. So a couple other reasons why NationBuilder was chosen for your CAA clubs. All of this that I'm talking about, typically you might have to create a website and add some forms to it, and then that would dump into some kind of database somewhere else. But with NationBuilder, all of this is really kind of automatically integrated in together. And not only is everything tied together really nicely, you can easily customize your website, make changes to people's profiles so that they have up-to-date contact information. But another really, really core thing that helps you organize your alumni community is the fact that as people come into your nation, whether they are taking actions on your website or engaging with you on social media, there's a built-in organizing component that allows members of your individual club to really take responsibility for maintaining relationships with people that are interacting with the club. So think about anything that you're having people do on your website as, we'll call it an action. And each of the pages that you can create, like a calendar page that has your club events, or a blog where people can interact with news about your club. Same goes for paying their dues through a membership page. All of these are different actions that can be associated with individuals within your club that you've made responsible for following up with the people that take those specific actions. So if you've got, for instance, someone who's in charge of dues with your club, they may automatically be assigned to anyone that pays their dues so that you can continue to engage that person, get them involved in upcoming events, make sure that they're staying engaged with the club, and moving up your engagement ladder such that you're continuing to always try and get people more and more involved with what your club is doing. So essentially, your club is your community, and NationBuilder is merely facilitating a place where those people can tell you how they're interested in engaging with the club, engage with the club by supporting you financially, and then making sure that there's someone within your internal structure that continues to maintain that relationship going forward. So it's really going to tie all of the existing events and offline stuff you're doing to keep your club up and running into an integrated online digital presence. So to really kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about here, I want to show you all a quick overview of what this looks like from the perspective of someone who visits a club website for the first time. So I'm going to share my screen. What you should all see here is our CAA demo site, which is for the Association of Australia. And we're going to go over in today's session a lot of the basics with how you can add in some of your own visual content for your club. Hopefully some of you have brought pictures from your club activities so that you can automatically start adding some of this to your website. But as I was talking about at the top, all of NationBuilder's, really the key reason you're building a NationBuilder website is to give lots of points of entry for people to say that how they want to participate with your club. You can obviously also include images, image galleries, and the like. And also note that there's a lot of great how-to documentation on the Columbia training website that will walk you through some of the basics that we'll go over today. But just as an example, I want to actually sign up to volunteer for this particular club. So we're being told that no one is seeing my, is that true that people are not yet seeing my screen? Okay. Hold on a second. It's a little choppy. That makes sense. We're sending this connection over very all the way across the world in some cases. So it's not visible on iPad. Okay. Well, if you are having difficulties seeing, what you should be seeing right now is just the top of our volunteer form with a few little checkboxes. So if that's what you're seeing, you're in the right place. Otherwise, you may have to just join us via the recording that we'll provide to folks as a follow-up to this session. So if someone comes to volunteer for your club, you can customize this page however you'd like. You can give folks really any type of volunteer opportunity that you want to be able to provide them as it pertains to your club. So if your club is, for instance, looking for people to take tickets at the door to club events, you can just easily add that to the template for this page and then make it so that those folks will automatically be grouped as ticket takers in your database. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up here as an example version of myself. And notice that in this process, you're asking folks if they want to hear from your club for email updates. So any of these actions that you're getting people to take is going to be an opportunity for them to also become part of your club mailing list. So we'll talk a little bit in a future training about migrating in your list from a previous system, or if you've merely just been keeping it in Excel, you'll be able to bring in all of your existing members into your NationBuilder database. But as folks kind of organically come in as new folks, they will have the opportunity to opt in to hear from you via email updates. So I'm signing up from Los Angeles, and I'll go ahead and save the volunteer info. Must have phone number, cool. Good to know. So once I save this volunteer info, what this is going to automatically do is create a profile for me as a new volunteer in the Columbia Association of Australia's NationBuilder database. One other really cool thing that happens, and that you can by default set up on any of these actions you can set up on your website, is the fact that someone can be prompted to share what they've done on social media, whether that's Twitter, or on Facebook. And what's really cool here is that because we've created a profile for them in your database, there's going to be a way that that link ties back to that person. So now if Jason goes onto Twitter, shares out this volunteer opportunity, and someone else from the club ends up clicking on his link and volunteering through his link, he'll be shown as the one that actually recruited that person into your club. So not only are we going to really be kind of automatically identifying people who are really engaged with your club, you're going to find out who those influencers are within your club's community. If this person recruits in 5 other alumni, you know for a fact that there's someone who's really connected in the community, who's getting the word out for you, and maybe someone that you might want to empower to have even more of a role with your club. Okay. So that'll take us into our database, and right now I'm looking at the same nation, but from the perspective of someone who has administrative access to get into the nation. This will be the case for each of you. You'll be the initial owner and therefore admin of your particular nation, where you can come here and review as people interact with your club, but also note here those kind of 4 key areas that I was talking about earlier are going to also be accessible and editable from here in your nation's control panel. So if you want to see a database of all your members or all the people that are engaging with your club, you'll go to the People tab here. To set up your website, and whether that's going to be including pictures and things in various portions of your website, or setting up these different actions for people to take with your club, that'll all happen from this website tab. Communications tab is going to be where you send out your email blasts, text message blasts if relevant, and interact with your social media accounts, your Facebook fan page and your Twitter account. And under finances, you'll be able to see overviews of club dues and tickets that you're selling to ticketed club events. So we'll get to all of that, obviously, in the next couple of trainings. But I do want to kind of highlight what I was talking about how NationBuilder is going to automatically bring this person into your database and then route them to someone within your organization to continue and maintain that relationship. Now, this is the key of getting your community really, really engaged. Without someone who's really in charge of maintaining that relationship, and a person who has like a consistent schedule around continuing to follow up with that person, that's how people tend to fall through the cracks in any community, when there's not consistent ongoing engagement with them. So NationBuilder is going to get this person in the door and route them to someone, and then it's really up to you to have a intelligent workflow within your club about how you're going to continue to engage people, and what initial asks you'll start with of them, and how you can then, as people get more and more tied into what your club is doing, ask more and more from them, get them to volunteer to maybe help with keeping your website up to date, doing setup for club events. It's really however you want to conceive of how you want to keep people and get them more and more engaged. But it's going to be really important that you have a plan and workflow around this to get your club more and more empowered to be self-organizing and self-sufficient. So let's click here into Jason's profile, which we can do by clicking on his name. And we can kind of see all of the different ways that he's engaged with us up to the minute here from the dashboard view we just clicked on. And And so a couple things just happened when Jason signed up. And it looks like we didn't actually quite set this page up perfectly, but the principal is still there. All of the information that Jason has provided to us, including the fact that he lives in Australia, I guess that's something that we set up for this particular club, but it would be clearly more relevant for your particular club. You'd have people signing up in your country. So all of that contact information that he's provided us when he signed up on our website is going to go directly into his profile, his email address, his phone number. One really cool thing that's going to happen in NationBuilder is that as an email address gets added to your database, whether that's from people signing up on the website or you just importing in a list of previous emails, we're going to automatically match that email address to other social media networks like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Clout to show social media influence. And that's going to be a great way of identifying people within your club who are really already influential on social media, and therefore those are people who you might want to try and get really engaged with your club so that they can get the word out for you on social media and not just through your other traditional means of communication. But as I mentioned, the way that we set up that action on our website, there are kind of three core things that we can automatically do to make sure that Jason enters into our club in such a way that he's going to continue to have someone that follows up and continues to maintain the relationship with him. Number one, we've created someone in our NationBuilder control panel who does have administrative access to come in here, log in, and see all of our club members. And that point person is going to be responsible for following up with anyone who takes a particular action. So when we set up that volunteer page, we said that Jackie is going to be responsible for anyone that comes in to volunteer. So she's going to be our volunteer coordinator. She's in charge of following up with incoming volunteers for our club. Now, Jackie obviously will see a notification that she's now responsible for Jason, but she's also going to need a reminder for what type of conversation she should be having with him going forward. This is how the follow-up system really comes into play. And you'll notice here to the right, we've set it so that Jackie has a reminder to talk to Jason about recruiting him as a volunteer. Now, you can customize the types of conversations you want to have with people in your club. The key here is that when she signed up, or when he signed up, he automatically was marked, assigned to Jackie, and set for having a volunteer recruitment conversation. So that when Jackie logs in, she'll know on a given day any of the people that she's supposed to be talking to by who's set for follow-up and is assigned to her as a point person. And finally, the other really key thing that happened was Jason signed up to do specific volunteer activities. Help at local events or come to Columbia watch parties. So we've also have these little sticky notes or tags on people's profiles that are going to tie them into groups based on the things that they've done to participate with us. Now you can import this in if you know people happen to be interested in particular issues as they pertain to your club, or you have an existing volunteer list that shows how people want to help. You can easily import in these tags, but they can also be automatically added based on the actions that people take. So this is going to be great if you're trying to organize a local event, for instance, and you want to figure out who has volunteered to help out with those events in the past. You really just have to come find a tag, click on it, and that'll pull up not just Jason here, but all of the people in your database that have volunteered in that specific way. Looks like the Australia Club still needs to get it organized a little bit. But the principle is still there, that the people will be sorted by their tags. We can see if there's any other tags in the database that can demonstrate this. Yeah, it looks like we had some event volunteer signups from our existing member list. There you go. So there's 77 people that have signed up to volunteer. Cool. So I hope this makes sense on a really basic level for folks. We're going to get into a lot more about how to set these kinds of automated workflows into your club's website in the next training. I want to get you all having some successes right off the bat, though, with incorporating some visual content into your club website. Now, if anyone does have any questions, please drop them into chat, and we will make sure that we answer them as we're going along here. But to begin with, if you want to customize your club website, you're going to need to go into the Website tab and select the site that you've started building. Now, each of you will have started from a template that was built by the designer that worked with CAA. So much of what I'm talking about here is going to be totally relevant to the actual process that you'll go through. So Whitney's question, when will we have access to start editing our own page? So after today's training, if you do not have access to log into your own Nation, you should definitely follow up with Jennifer or Megan or Jackie at CAA, and they'll definitely be able to get you access to your Nation where you can do many of the things that we're talking about today. So Jackie just typed it into chat. You have to complete the site setup survey and sign the terms and conditions in order to get access. So if we look here at our Columbian Association of Australia website, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can really see everything. You can see kind of a couple key areas of visual content. Number one, we have a rotating slider image. We call these in NationBuilder featured content sliders. And what these are going to do is actually just kind of cycle through different pictures of your club, and each of them can link out to other various actions on your website. So in this case, this slider connects into an external CAA services site, whereas the next slider links directly to the sign-up page for this particular club. So we'll dive into how you can change the images here, but also link them to other pages within your website. You'll also be able to create a background image to go into the background here of your site. It looks like there's the Columbia football stadium in the background for the Australia club here. We're going to also want to be able to change the components of our navigation bars. In NationBuilder, we have what we call a top nav, which is going to highlight the really key things you want people to be able to do when they visit your site, no matter whether they've already logged in or not. And then for people who have already taken actions, members who have already engaged with your club, there's going to be another navigation here to the right. We call this a supporter nav because these are people who have already indicated they support your club in some way. And your supporter navigation will have just another series of ways that people can engage. They're going to generally be a little bit more tailored actions to people that are already deeply engaged with what your club is doing. So we'll see how we can put pages into that navigation, and also change these call-out buttons so that our most incentivized actions that we want people to really take when they come to our site are featured front and center. So the question to please define your club website. So for each of your associations, you're going to have your own nation. So when you start your NationBuilder account, you're going to actually be able to start from a template that looks very similar to the one that I'm displaying to you here. The only difference will be that you'll be adding in your own visual content, creating your own pages for folks with your club to engage with. The pages, again, being those actions that you want people to take, like signing up to pay their dues, creating a calendar for club events, or really there's 30 different types of actions you can have people take on your site, but events, volunteer opportunities, engaging with your club blog, news, stuff like that, those are going to typically be the things that you'll be setting up. Cool. So we'll also be creating a couple of new pages here. Mostly for the time being, we're not going to be creating ones that actually have any actions associated with them. We're just going to be creating pages for the purpose of adding in content like pasting in pictures, embedding in videos from YouTube and the like. And again, if you don't have enough images to make your website look fully built out from your existing club photo database, there are image resources on the NationBuilder training website that the CAA staff has provided for clubs if they'd like to access it. So if we could maybe include a link to that in chat as well, that could be a good place to start if you don't yet have photo collateral that you want to add to your website. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit to how you can start making some of these changes. So once you're logged into your NationBuilder website, you'll be able to access your control panel, where you can start making some of these changes to the site. I'll actually keep this page on the public site, and we'll go into this tab where we can start making some of these changes. So here under the website, I've clicked into our Columbia Association of Australia site. And you'll notice here and in NationBuilder, there's kind of a lot of different settings that you'll be setting up, but a really key way to keep yourself oriented to where you're making changes is going to be where kind of vertically you are on the page. So for some of the things like the background of the entire website or the navigation at the top of every single page, these are going to be things that you're going to customize at the site level. So right now we've just navigated into just the website itself. And so modifying like which pages show up in your navigation is going to be here because that's not specific to an individual page that you're setting up. For visual settings like changing the background image, we're going to go here into our site settings and be able to change those components very easily. For instance, our background image, if you click into site settings and then background image, you'll easily be able to replace or change the picture that takes up the entire background of your website. Same goes for the footer of your nation. So anything that's going to kind of be appearing on every single page because it's just a component of the basic look of the entire site, you're going to be able to modify from site settings. So here's where you'd modify that footer. And we're going to want to be able to swap in a header image, add a logo, and you can experiment with how that'll impact the look of your actual individual site by making those changes here. Now, as we create pages, when you first install your NationBuilder website, there's going to be kind of a basic set of pages to start from. And we'll go into a couple of them specifically in today's training. By default, there'll definitely be a home page here that you'll notice is of the type basic. Now, when you're creating any new page in your NationBuilder website, you're going to have to select which template you're going to start from. And in today's training, we're really just going to focus on creating basic pages and blog pages. Basic will kind of just be like a single page where you can add in text or images. Blogs are going to be a little bit different. We're all familiar with a blog where you've got several posts. So anytime that you want to kind of have content so that it's a series of pieces of content that are all like a little bit separated out but all together at the same time, we'll use a blog page type and then create individual posts for each of those pieces of content. So in this case, by default, your club website will come with a blog that has a section for news, and then each post would be a unique update that you've set up to update folks on what your club is up to. Same goes for you're going to start with a gallery, where each blog post is going to be an opportunity for you to upload an image and kind of have people cycle through your recent events and pictures of things your club is up to. So we'll kind of focus on those two types of pages today as the basis for creating the content of your website. And then in our phase 2 session, we'll focus on creating pages that actually have people taking some sort of action. So if we, for instance, go into our homepage here, by clicking on its slug, this is really just going to be the title of the page and how we can find it in the URL of our site. So in the case of the home page, it is by default going to just be at your Columbia number.nationbuilder.com. You'll eventually be able to add in a domain so that NationBuilder is not included in your club website's title once you're ready to go live. But notice here, we've now navigated more into a more specific area of our website. So if you look at across the top here, we've gone into the website tab, gone into the website for the Columbia Association of Australia, and now we're on the settings for just the home page. So if you're ever trying to figure out where you're editing something, these little carrots, we call them breadcrumbs in web speak. They kind of tell us where we're going through. So in the case of a basic page, we can click into the content section. And this is where we can add new text and images to this particular page. Now, if we look at our home page on the live website, you'll see that what you typed and the image that we included is by default kind of automatically already in place. It looks exactly on this side how it's going to look on the public website. So a couple things about how we've got this all to work. In order to include an image on a page, we want to go ahead and upload the image directly to the page that we want to include it on. So in the case here, I'm going to make sure we're going to save this page without the image and then add it back in. So we've now updated the page, and as soon as we saved it by clicking there on Save Content, it's going to update live to the exact state that we put it in. So you're going to be able to really be flexible and update your site on the go completely by yourself. So there you go, the image is now disappeared. But if we wanted to include that image, we would go here to our Files tab, and remember, we're still under the settings for the home page itself. And you'd upload that image directly here. It's a little GIF with the Be Included directory. So once you've uploaded the image by clicking here on Upload Files, going to that particular image on your computer, when you click into the content, back into the content area, aside from adding new text, if you want to now incorporate that picture, merely go to this tree icon, click on it, and then that image that you uploaded will now be available for you to easily include by selecting it from the image list. You can insert it in place. Now it's going to be embedded directly in place on our site. Pretty easy. Now, if you want to change some of the basics, some other basics about this page, like how it's going to be titled, and whether or not it should show up in those two navigations we were talking about, you're going to be able to do that from this second link underneath the page where we see settings. Now, no matter what kind of page you're working with, in this case we're on a basic page. I showed you that you might be working with a blog if you're setting up your site's news settings, or your gallery of club images. No matter which of those templates you're starting from, this settings tab is going to look exactly the same, because it's really just going to be where you name the page, set it up for how search engines will find it, determine how people engage with this page on social media. And as we'll see in a moment when we go to the home feature page to set up the sliders that'll appear directly on your club's home site, right, those images that cycle through and link back to other pages, we'll be able to add sliders from this section as well. But by default, your home page will not be included in the top navigation or the supporter navigation, but it will be from this settings tab where you can decide to include new pages that you create in those particular areas. We'll get into this a little bit more as we go into setting up members sections and membership due payments on your club website in future trainings. But just to point it out while we're here, you're going to be able to really customize who can engage with certain areas of your site based on their status within your club. That's going to be great for, obviously you can create content that appears to anyone as a public viewer of your page, but we'll also be able to segment it so that there's members-only events or members-only content areas where you can really restrict only dues-paying folks to have access to certain content on your site. So once you've decided whether or not you want pages to appear in the top or the supporter nav from the settings on that particular page, you'll actually be able to rearrange the order of those links back here at the site level. So really, if you're ever trying to figure out where you're going to be doing something, think about whether it's going to be something that impacts a specific page or whether it's something that will change how the entire site looks. And that'll give you an idea of where to look for how to change those settings. So if we want to just say this specific page should appear in the navigation, we're going to go to the settings for that specific page. But if we want to rearrange how the links appear in our navigation, that's really going to affect the entire site. So we may want to click back up here and go find the top nav settings for the entire website. You'll see here all the pages that have been set to appear in the top nav. Now we can really easily just drag and drop them if we want to change the order. Now you'll also notice here on our club site, on our association site, that each page can also have what we call subpages that are associated with it, but kind of appear as other components underneath it in the navigation. In order to create a subpage of an existing page, you click into that page's settings, and you can create the subpage from there. New subpage, and have it appear in your subnav. Now, if you want to make sure that membership, for instance, shows up in the top nav underneath the About page here, make sure that you go into the membership page and specify that it should appear in the top nav along with the About page. Now, we actually know that the membership page is a subpage of About because our breadcrumbs are really telling us that that's the case. We're under the Columbia Association of Australia website, under the About page, and then even underneath the About page, we've come to our membership page, which will appear in our dropdown because we've checked it off to appear in the top nav. You'll also be able here to add the slug. Again, this is how the page will be found on the website. It's also going to be how we refer to the page anywhere else throughout our NationBuilder control panel. So if we want to make sure that a page that already exists is added as a subpage of another page, we can merely just start typing the slug here underneath that page's settings. So if the membership page wasn't already a subpage of About, we could come to the page settings for the membership page, begin typing in About, and then it would automatically associate underneath the membership page. So I'm going to go back to our website and review a couple other of the pages that you're going to have as part of your association site to begin with, and some things you might want to be doing to incorporate additional content into them. So if you click here into your gallery, you'll notice that it is by structure a blog page that we're starting from, and then each of the individual components of your gallery are going to be posts on that specific blog. We'll take a look at this from the public side and then review how to make this work from within the control panel. That's awesome. Looks like one of the posts here in our gallery is a Men at Work music video. That's pretty hilarious. So this is actually demonstrative of one other really easy thing that NationBuilder is going to help you do to make your club site more engaging, which is to include in multimedia from sites like YouTube, or if you have Flickr photo galleries from your club. You're going to be able to easily embed this content into your website without any custom coding. All you have to do is go into the content of that page and include the link. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So if we go into the posts underneath this blog, we'll be able to find the Men at Work page. And let's click into Men at Work and see what we've done here. Now for a blog post, you'll be able to have content that appears before the flip and after the flip. Think of this as exactly what it sounds like. Your flip in the newspaper world is anything above the fold versus anything below the fold. In this case, on your blog, though, the fold is just going to be, if you have a lot of posts in a row, you may want to have some content appear above the fold and have people have to click into the post itself to read the complete post. So in this case, with the Men at Work video, all we had to do was copy the plain text of the YouTube link for that music video and drop it directly into the editor here under the content for this page. NationBuilder is going to detect that this is a YouTube video and automatically embed it in place. Again, if you're wanting to see an overview of the types of content you can incorporate into your club site using this feature, I'm going to go ahead and paste a link into chat to Embedly, which is the service that allows us to do this. They have over 200 different providers that they allow you to do this with. So YouTube is great, Flickr photo gallery is also great, but there's many, many to choose from that you can easily and dynamically add to your club site. Now the final couple things I do want to make sure that we review in today's session, how to incorporate into our club site. It's going to be how we can change the slider images that appear on our club's homepage. Now the way that this is set up using the unique CAA theme was that there's a kind of holder page where all of those sliders can get uploaded to. This is going to be under your home feature page. So just look for home feature underneath your list of pages when you start your association's website. It's going to be a basic page and just be called home_feature. if you're ever starting to build out lots of pages on your club site and you're having a difficult time tracking down a specific page, you can easily here, when you're underneath the website tab, just begin searching for the name of the name of the slug of that page. So I know like it might include home somewhere in there, and that'll just bring up search results of all the pages that have that bit of text in them. So there we go, home feature. And remember, we can theoretically add sliders to any of our pages, but we're really just going to want to add them to this home feature page. And that's going to happen underneath our settings tab here, and then under featured content sliders. You'll then, similarly to how you set up and rearrange the different links to appear in your navigation, be able to add images to the sliders, rearrange the order that they come up on your website. And when you're creating these, note that if we go in and edit this alma mater one, for instance, you'll have a headline that shows up to the right of your slider. You'll obviously upload the image that is going to appear here at the bottom. And then you're going to feature a specific page elsewhere on your website so that when people click on that rotating image, it's going to take them to that highly specified piece of content. You probably want to feature here in the features section, some of the actions that you really want people to take when they come to your site. So paying dues, coming to an upcoming event that you're really promoting. Keep these fresh and keep them linked up to dynamic content that you're updating elsewhere on your NationBuilder site. A couple other loose ends to tie up here. I know we want to be able to really feature key actions that people can take to participate with our association. And remember that these buttons are a great way of doing that, and they can be found underneath the settings for your supporter navigation, because that's really where they appear on your site. We're also going to be able to feature any page that we create underneath this set of footer links, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So if you want to add new buttons to your supporter nav, merely go back to your website, click into the supporter nav link here, and you can really easily create buttons. I'm going to rename that news page here. You'll see it's going to automatically update. To incorporate that new text. There you go. Now finally, if you want to feature a page in that link, in those footer links at the bottom of your page, all you have to do is go to the page. Let's say we want volunteer opportunities to show up there. And notice here at the top, we've got a little tag that we've added to this page, similar to how we add sticky note tags to people's profiles based on what kind of group they'll fall into. We can also create tags for pages. So in this case, we want all of the pages to appear in the footer. We're going to add that footer tag to any pages that should do so. So the volunteer opportunities will, in fact, show up in our footer because we've got it tagged as such. Awesome. So this should give you a lot of fodder to begin setting up your club website, adding in some dynamic content, some videos, some picture galleries. and making sure that you're featuring the specific actions you want people to take and the specific content you want people to really see when they come to your club website. Thank you, group leaders, for joining us for this first phase of your NationBuilder training. For phase 2, I know that Jackie and the rest of the folks at CAA will send along specific instructions. But what we'll really be focusing on in the next phase is actually, now that we've had some basis of getting content up on your website, we're going to want to start creating actions for people to take on the association site. So things like signing up for upcoming events. We'll be able to also set up the opportunity for people to pay their dues directly through your site and see what it looks like when someone RSVPs for an event, and actually follow up with people by email blast to remind them about upcoming events or to keep them updated about members-only issues. So again, in preparation for setting up our dues payments, our events, and our email blasts for next time, make sure that you set up a PayPal account for your club. Get a donation page, which is not going to be for taking donations for the association. It's just going to be as a payment. In NationBuilder, really any payment page is going to be called a donation page. And decide on what kind of levels of dues you want people to be able to pay. We'll go through actually how to add those different levels, but just kind of brainstorm and have that prepared in your head for the amounts you want people to be able to pay for dues in your association. So any other questions before we sign off here? Otherwise, we'll look forward to joining you guys in a couple days. And yes, please feel free to email your liaison or Megan with any follow-up questions. And do take advantage of the recording of this session and the existing sessions and videos on the resource website, Columbia One. Thanks, everyone.